Avoid moving the same piece twice. It's just a waste of tempo. We are attacking the f7 square. However, black can just castle. We also castle. The black plays h6. And we have to go back to knight f3. Outcome, we have wasted two moves, knight g5 and knight f3. Instead of playing knight g5, we could have just castled. He would also castle and we would play knight c3, he would play h6 and bishop e3. Now we have knight and the bishop in the game. You should avoid early attacks with the queen, e4, e5 and queen h5. Many people think that it's good because you can play g6 and fork the king with the rook. However, a good player will just defend the pawn, attack the queen.
Oh no!
The queen will have to go back. In this position, people usually play queen f3, but it's not great because it allows knight d4, forking both pieces. He plays queen d3 to defend the bishop, and we play c6, bishop c4, d5, opening up our bishop, controlling the center and winning another tempo. He retreats with the bishop and we attack the queen, winning another tempo. So we have gained 1, 2, 3 and 4 tempos. We have developed 3 pieces when he has developed only 1, because we don't count queen, it's not very important yet. You have to fight for the center. The main center is d4, d5, e5 and d4 square. We can also describe a center as a square made of 4 angles. The angles are c3, f3, f6 and c6. Those 16 squares are very important and whoever controls them, they win the game. To fight for the center we use the knights and the pawns on c, d and e files. If we don't do that, this thing happens. d5, knight b8, e5,
Why
knight
you
g8.
bully me?
Black has moved back, where white has lots of space, opened bishops, center. We are after 5 moves, but it seems like black has only played 1 move. Avoid playing with pawns. Play only with the e and d pawns to open up the bishops. The pieces are the most important, not the pawns. I played Aloh in defense, and my opponent kept pushing the pawns. To this point, he has made 6 moves with his pawns. I have developed 3 pieces, and he has developed 2 pieces. But I'm black, so he should have developed 1 piece more than me. His king is not ready to castle, and once we open up the center, his king will be in danger. I attack the c4 weakness. I get rid of the d6 pawn because I want to open up my queen to attack the d5 pawn. I pin the knight so it will not be able to defend the d5 pawn. I trade, castle to prevent any checks. He has to defend his d5 pawn because it's attacked by my queen on d8 and knight on b6. But it's only defended by the queen. The knight is pinned, so we don't count it. He plays bishop c4 and gives away my pawn. I take it, trade everything off, and end up with a pawn up, very active queen, white having a huge weakness on e5, a bishop against a knight. Put the focus on the king side. This will allow you to castle quicker and keep your king safe. Then counter in the center and open up the position. Put your rook on an open file, which has no pawns on it. If you control this line, you will be able to control the whole game, because it's the only way of your pieces going into the opponent's camp. So as we can see, we develop the pieces. We already create some threats on the king. We gain some tempos. And we just put pressure on the opponent. Remember that if you keep challenging your opponent, they will eventually make a mistake and you will win a game. Another mistake that lots of beginners make is that they copy the opponent. So for example, e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, it's still okay, Russian defense. Huge blunder, queen e2. If he moves back to knight f6, we play knight c6, winning the queen. If he protects the pawn, we play d3. he has to go back anyway, and we get the queen. If you want to play knight c3, you need to have c4 or e4 played before. The reason for that is that chess is a teamwork of all of the pieces, and if you put your pawn on c4, it will put pressure with the knight, and they will all very nicely teamwork and put pressure in the center. Put priority to your knights instead of bishops. If you move your knights to c3 and f3, they already protect the most important squares on the chessboard, which is d5, e5, d4 and e4. The bishops are in the game even if you don't move them from the starting squares. The only reason why you move bishop on e2 in the king's Indian defense is that you can castle. If you didn't have to castle, your bishop could stay on f1 for a long time. The bishop on c1 is usually moved only to allow rook on a1 to go to d1 or c1. There is no need to move your bishops forwards. The bishop gets attacked by the pawn on h6, and to not waste any more tempos, the bishop has to be given away for a knight. But as we know, bishops are better than knights, especially in endgames, and every equally played chess game ends up in an endgame. Always avoid having isolated pawns. They are weaknesses and very easy to attack. They are also very difficult to get rid of. Some tips for the end. Don't learn stupid opening lines when you are beginner. Just play simple chess. Learn and play what you understand. Don't put any traps. If the player is good, they will just not get into a trap and you will be left with disadvantage. Try playing e4 because it's more tactical and more developing for young and new players.